What's good, y'all? It's Oncer Grove, OSGOE, Big Grove Dog, checking in with the American people and our allies. Today is 17 December, 2019 star date, and it is a Tuesday. So I'm looking at the stocks, checking my portfolio here. I've added Amazon to my portfolio for the first time today. I bought shares of Amazon. I also purchased shares of, General Electric, Disney, Apple, and Microsoft, all in the past week. So, we'll see how Amazon, General Electric, Apple, Disney, and Microsoft do. I'm Oncer Grove. I invest in the stock market. Yeah. Man, just a continuation of some of the math I was doing in high school. Look, man, I can't give any kind of business, legal, financial advice. Especially with regard to stocks. I'm not a licensed broker. I just talk to licensed brokers, and scan the globe for geospatial intelligence information, and then make my stock picks based on certain trends and other factors. I look at the technicals, I look at the historicals, I look at the trends, the analytics, I look at the crowd, what people are posting on threads, the overall strength and of the company, and P over E ratios. You know what I'm saying? Papa, Echo. I'm just saying. One of the things that I had been doing for a while was I was buying into the marijuana stocks. And I still have shares in that industry. I have purchased options, indeed. It had been my focus for a while. I was making money there, and I would buy shares of one particular company, and then I would sell and keep some shares each time. And then at some point, I just sold off all said shares. I had 600,000 of that particular company, and then just sold them off. And then at some point I was like, maybe I should buy more shares of that company. So I did. And I, to this day, have some shares of that company because it made money. It was making me money on an everyday or every other day basis. So every other day that company was generating income. And but it's been a little stagnant for a while, so I've just kept some shares of that particular company tucked away. So as I discussed before, and as I've talked about, in the math formula of it all, we are looking at the stock price. I'm just saying that's what I'm talking about. That's what we are I-495 are discussing here, and what we're talking about. Again, none of this information should be construed as any kind of financial, market, legal advice. This information that I present is purely for entertainment and educational purposes only. But yeah, stock price. People watch movies like, for example, The Big Short. I love that movie, man. That movie was incredible. The Big Short. And I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it. 10-star movie, man. It's one of those movies. It's up there with the Great Gatsby, And I'm just saying. One of the things that has happened recently is that there are a couple of companies, and I won't mention their names, I don't want to put their names out there, but investors have argued that those companies overvalued their stocks, just overvalued them. In some cases, if a stock were undervalued, I'm just saying, like if a company is undervalued, its stock is undervalued, then that doesn't necessarily mean that, and again, I'm not giving any kind of legal or business advice. It doesn't mean that someone should not invest in that company because the stock is undervalued. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like the value looks low, but that doesn't mean that the company isn't worth the investment. The company may be worth the investment even if it's valued low. But then again, it may suggest that the company is not growth worthy, that the company will not grow. It may not grow. So that may be a true indicator. It depends. So it varies. You see the variance there? It varies. So if the company it appears to be low valued, that may be correct, or it may be a worthy investment. One thing I look at is a company's earnings per share. A company's earnings per share, EPS. When I buy stock in a company, what is the company's earnings per share? So again, I am purchasing stock from a company. I am buying into a company. I'm becoming a stakeholder, a shareholder. So I take a financial risk. I have a stake in that company. I become a shareholder. When I purchase the stock, what is the company's earnings per share? Earnings per share. That's what I'm looking at. That's one of the things that I'm looking at. And then from that, I need to compute what is known as the PE ratio. The PE ratio. So, in other words, if the PE ratio of a company is high, if it's high, well, a lot of times investors anticipate, I'm just simply saying, they anticipate increased earnings for the company. I mean, it's kind of obvious, you know what I mean? I mean, not necessarily so obvious to everyone, but if the PE ratio is high, then generally that suggests that investors are anticipating higher earnings growth. Make sense? Of course. Albeit it doesn't necessarily mean that the company will do well. I mean, you know, if you think about it, how many times has a company been valued at such a, high mark, and then later that company's stock fell, right? So it depends. It's just like a low PE. It's an indicator. It is there to suggest one or the other. So it's a risk. It can go either way. Finding undervalued stocks. Undervalued stocks. Jackpot, gold mine, gold rush. If someone were to write an algorithm that would locate, say, like every conceivable, and this is all abstract math here, this is all highly, extremely theoretical. If someone were to say, write a computer program algorithm that could find like 1,000 undervalued stocks or 100, just some number of undervalued stocks on a daily basis, even if it were 5 or 10, that person would most likely become incredibly, extremely wealthy. The issue is that if that software became standardized, then most everyone would just invest in all those undervalued stocks, which would change the very dynamics of the stock market itself. Because all of a sudden, all these investors would be investing in that handful of stocks that those investors did not previously know were undervalued stocks per se. So it becomes and can be complicated, or rather simple for some to wrap their minds around that concept, that notion. But undervalued stocks is key. It's key and it's essential in investment strategies depending on how one is intending to invest one's monies. So that's other information that I look at on a daily basis. There was a time when, so I use a number of screeners. That is graphical user interfaces, softwares, computer systems to evaluate the growth potential of stocks. And I look at the technicals, the history of the company 5 years ago, 1 year ago, 1 month ago, 1 day ago, which is pretty straightforward. But other folks, they have different techniques that they use and go by and apply. I have naturally my own set of rules and my own tools that I use. But yes, I use several different screeners. In other words, when applying software to determine the likelihood, evaluate, assess stocks, growth, I don't use just one analytical tool. I use several different software programs to evaluate the potential of a company to grow over time. So utilizing that information, I look at software companies. Let's see, what does my portfolio look like going back multiple years? So I've invested in software companies, defense companies, companies that have defense products that they offer, defense systems, whether it be software, cybersecurity, satellite, missile defense, companies that create and offer products of a military defense nature. So again, satellite companies, missile defense technologies, cybersecurity companies, those types of defense companies. So I've invested in defense. I've invested in computer software, cybersecurity. I've also invested in biomedical. I've invested in petroleum. I mean, fuel is a commodity. So definitely fuel, petroleum, oil, gas, biomedical technologies. I've invested in some emerging technologies in the healthcare sector. I've invested in robotics. Robotics is obviously an emerging and growing market. There are a lot of revolutionary technologies under development that have recently been developed that are on the horizon. So I've invested in the robotics market, AI. I've invested in artificial intelligence. AI is a huge market. I mean, to say the least. That can't really be overstated. I mean, AI is the future. So, in my opinion, why not invest in it? It's imperative. It's a must. So I've invested in AI, robotics, defense, like I said, computer science, voice over IP. There was a time when I was investing in a voice over IP, company based in the Pacific Northwest, and I still keep market surveillance of that particular company. So VO, IP, marijuana stocks. I've also invested in currency. I invested in foreign currency, in some European companies, and also the Asian markets. I invested in the seagoing tankers, the shipping market, the market of shipping containers, import export. So I've invested in import export, containers, shipping. Let's see, real estate, Florida, California, New York, and elsewhere. Real estate is an essential key component, ingredient to and in my portfolio. That is a must in terms of how I invest. And so I very quickly took to real estate investments, investing in real estate. So for folks who do not invest, when we're talking about looking at stocks, evaluating, analyzing them, we look at what we call technicals. They are referred to as technicals. So again, when analyzing stocks, we're looking at technicals. That is important to know and understand and grasp. Now, again, I'm not giving any kind of legal, financial, or business advice. I'm just simply letting folks know what it is that we do as stock market investors. Technicals are key. It is key to, I'm multitasking here, driving, rolling, dipping, flight navigating. By the way, like I said, if you are a fan of C4CW, a true fan, then genuinely, we 495 most certainly appreciate you. And for all supporters, the Cash App identifier is in the description of this particular episode for C4CW, Casting 495, Celebrities Worldwide. And it is $Aerospace Development. And we do welcome all support. So thank you very much. Thank you to each and every one of you for your continued ongoing support. So yes, the markets, stock market is, according to a lot of analysts, doing well right now. We are not in a recession. And by no observable means are we in a recession. Now, some analysts will say, well, I disagree. And it's, that person's opinion. But I think by most accounts, that is a majority of observers, analysts will say, no, we are not in any way in a recession, nor is there any recession in the foreseeable future. Of course, there are those who are trying to play up some notion of there being some looming recession. I don't see it. I don't see it happening, especially with regard to what's going on in tech right now. Disney, with the whole media streaming service and, competitive, market trends with regard to highly competitive companies, Netflix, Disney, Amazon, Prime, Hulu. I mean, people are into media. It's bigger than it's ever been before. It's like the whole globe is a fucking movie, and just streams of movies and this and that and data, content, and people want more and fucking more of it, and that's driving the market. And then people are high, man. They're smoking weed and they're happy. Not everyone is, but increasingly people are gaining access to marijuana, and they're able to smoke legally, and that's making a lot of people fucking happier than they ever have been before. And then they want to watch movies and buy fucking candy and food and junk food. And so you got Uber Eats and, treats and woo-woos and what is it? Zuzu's wham whams. What the fuck, man? Woo woo zam, woo zam. My Zuzu wham whams. Whatever that expression is, man. In terms of like just like food, junk food, little things here and there to snack on. Zuzus and wham whams. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to look that up before this episode concludes here, because yeah, that is a term expression I used to know, and when I went to utter it, I just realized that the information is like partially erased. I mean, I never liked saying it anyway because it's very awkward and it's very just painful. Give me one. Give me just one moment here. So yeah, I'm traveling. Hashtag rhyme travel. Hashtag rhyme traveler. So maybe I should, since I'm flight navigating in the whip, space whip, space whip, in the spacecraft. Since I'm dipping through hyperspace here, perhaps I should put on my safety belt, i.e. seat belt. Grover, please put on your seat belt. Aye, Captain. No, psych, I'm the captain. That was my voice doing my voice. Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm just looking out into this mist. Just looking out, and look, watch, I drop the windows like such, and in enters the mist, like the movie. It is quite misty out. It is, man. This shit looks like London. Am I in fucking London right now? I mean, man, this shit looks like London-esque. It's fucking dope. This is like a different dimension, man. I'm just saying. I'm looking around. It's 40 degrees out. The whole East Coast is like in a mist. In a fog-like mist. It's tight. Can't even see the fucking sky. It's like the sky is all-encompassing. And it's just a mist. You're probably like, come on, Grove, quit with the mist shit. Well, I'm just saying. I'm looking around and the whole thing is just fog. And this is December. 17 December. So, yeah, stock market analysis, trends. Dude, there is no fucking recession in my opinion. There just isn't. Because, I mean, not anytime fucking soon. Not in 2020. Because if you look at like consumer buying habits, spending, the zeal. God, hold up, man. Give me one moment here. Hold on. Give me one moment. Just, sorry, I was working on a media project here. Hold on. But yeah, consumer. Oh my goodness. Yo, hold on. Give me one moment. I have to pause this project. Hold on. Just give me a second. I have to pause. So yeah, technicals. So I got a book on technicals. And yeah, I got the dummy series. 4 dummies. Technicals for dummies. I'm just saying, man. Stock market technicals for dummies. Because, man, there was a time when I read a bunch of fucking books. I used, one of my things a long time ago, man, before the high-speed internet, is I'd travel to libraries like all over the country. And I would read books and whatnot. But I don't do that shit anymore. You know why? Waste of fucking time. For me, I just look up the information on the internet. Any fucking book that's in a library, I can find that shit online. I'll find it online. And, oh yeah. Alright, can you give me one more? But yeah, man, if we had mentors like when I was in high school, I did have a math instructor And he was like, yo, Grove, man, you can go far with this math. He said, he was saying, because there was a black gentleman who used to come into our I mean, I know there are no black people on this planet, you know what I mean? That's just what society says because society's medieval. And I say that out of reverence, you know, for the gentleman. When I say black, I mean he's a brown-skinned dude like me, you know what I mean? And because I know the truth about North America, you know what I'm saying? And I know that we're not from Africa, man. I know that we're from North America. So that makes us North American. And anyway, but it makes some people feel better to say African American, you know what I mean? Even though they're not really African American. So I'm just keeping it real, man. I'm a scientist, so, you know. So anyway, the point is, you know, I didn't have, like, there was my uncle, and he ran his business, which was a printing company. So in that sense, I mean, but that was my uncle. It's not that he, like, mentored us. A mentor is usually someone outside your family, you know what I'm saying? My uncle showed my cousins and I and my sister, he showed us the way, you know what I mean? Like on a business standpoint, you know, from a business standpoint, like how to be successful in the world of business, like that came from my uncle, you know, a lot of it. But in terms of mentors outside the family, I did meet Ray Horton from the Cincinnati Bengals. He was my big brother for a day, because my mother signed me up for a big brother day, and so I rolled around with Ray Horton from the Cincinnati Bengals. Shout outs to Ray Horton and the Cincinnati Bengals. I used to love that show, man. WKRP in Cincinnati. You guys are probably like, come on, Grove, what? Yeah, that show was fucking dope. I like Cincinnati, man. I want to make a spy movie and have Cincinnati play a part. Because a lot of kids, man, in America, when I say kids, I'm talking about young adults. A lot of motherfuckers in America, they don't know about Cincinnati, Ohio. They don't. Not where I'm from. If you're from California or the Pacific Northwest, man, you be talking to kids, you be like, yo, so what's going on in Cincinnati? They'd be like, Cincinnati? Oh yeah, that's a place, right? And it's like, yeah, motherfucker, it's a place. You know? Look, WKRP, that show was magical, man. I love the one episode where the dude told the gang member, he was like, if I can teach you how atoms work in, what was it, like 60 seconds or 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever, he was like, will you leave the gang? Will you leave the gang life alone and move forward with your life? And he was like, yeah, if you can do that, I will. Dude, that shit was tight. How he broke down. That man, hey, he said the protons, the neutrons, the electrons. That shit was dope. You know what I mean? Magical times, man. Back when they made real fucking TV shows. Again, shout outs to Cincinnati, Ohio. As one Sir Grove, your homie. Yeah, AKA Big Grove Dog. Give them proper dues. And shout outs to whom they are due. Yeah, man. So, looking at mentors, Robert Kiyosaki is someone who I look to for financial information, intel. But you know what I mean? Like back in high school, we didn't have the internet. So it's not like I had, like, okay, so Robert Kiyosaki, he breaks it down so ultra coldly, man. And it's so fucking true. I was introduced to his books and his works and his information by way of one of my friends from college, my roommate of 4 years, my homie from Japan. He was a Japanese international student. He and his family had moved to Brazil, and they they followed the grandfather from Japan to Brazil, and they're in the hotel industry. So the family owns a hotel. They own a hotel. And he was a member of an international high IQ society. And he's the one who got me involved in that world of international high IQ societies. And he and I used to do like play like different types of trivia games and whatnot. And so he asked me one day, he was like, yo, are you hip to this is my friend from Japan. He's Japanese and Brazilian. Well, he's not, Brazilian by birth, but he moved from Japan to Brazil. So he was like, Grove, do you know about Robert Kiyosaki? And I said, I don't. He said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I said, oh, I've seen that on TV. Like, I've seen the advertisements, but I'm not really hip. Like, I've only seen the advertisements. I was like, it seems interesting, like, but I just never read too deep into it. Like, I just saw that there's a book and I've like heard people talk about it, but I don't really know what it's about. He said, dude, you need to know about it. I was like, and when he told me shit, when he shared information with me, in fact, he's the one that told me about the theory of the stock market, and he broke it down so coldly because in cryptology, in mathematics, because I'm a numbers guy and I work on crypto, I study cryptology, so I guess that makes me a cryptologist. I'm just saying, like, I study cryptology. Look, full disclosure, here's the confession. Behind the scenes of everything that I do, I'm just being honest. Like, some people want to be race car drivers. Some people want to be, like, I don't know, man, astronauts. Some people want to be, like, school teachers. Some people want to be, I don't know, seamstresses. You know what I'm saying? Like, fashion designers. So, I always wanted to be a cryptologist, man. So I figured out how to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I do behind the scenes, man, is I fucks with numbers. I look at crypto. I read up on the scholarly journals of cryptology. I read up on mathematics. I have my math and crypto notepads. I study codes and ciphers. I really do. From the canon, from the ancients on up to now. And that's what I do in my fucking spare time. Aside from like watching some movies and listening to some music, I actually am into crypto, like cryptology. So it's a lot of reading, just like Bill Gates talks about reading. And, if he had time to read more, right? As business persons, man, when you're conducting business, like, how often do you have to like be able to like work and also like read journals and textbooks? Well, in the world of crypto, you got to read shit. Tomes of information. Because crypto is complex. Cryptology is fucking ultra complex. Meta complex. And so that's why I used to scour libraries. My mother worked in communications, codes and ciphers, and so did my grandfather. And we have other relatives who did as well. So I come from a background, growing up, reading like home personal libraries of books and shit on the subject of codes and ciphers. And it's always interested me. I've always been fascinated by crypto, by the world of cryptology, cryptography, encipherment, decipherment, and it plays a vital role in U.S. national security, international security. So secretly, man, behind the scenes, like, that's what I do. That's what I pay attention to. That's what I observe. That's what I analyze. And it requires a lot of fucking time, and you have to have a lot of tools and software and materials, resources. So it cost me a small fortune to break into this world of highly complex number systems and to be able to have the time and tools, thus resources, to be able to study crypto behind the scenes. So that's why I do this shit, man. I do it because as these technologies emerge, materialize, and come into existence, more and more cryptology plays a major role in security, because you have to secure your technology. And code schemes become increasingly complex. Look at blockchain algorithms. So, crypto market. Look at Bitcoin and what's happened with Bitcoin. Anytime the National Security Agency, British Intelligence, GCHQ, the Australians, Chinese, Russians, anytime someone invents a new crypto system, you have to test it, right? It has to be tested. And what is considered state-of-the-art, within a few microseconds, nanoseconds, may become ancient, prehistoric, dinosaur, fossilized, because someone out there might say, state-of-the-art, brand new crypto system. Well, check game, boom, and then they crack the code, right? So you have to test for vulnerabilities. If you're claiming that your technology is virtually foolproof, man, you'd better be able to back that up, because if someone cracks, that is, your new multi-zillion-dollar crypto system, well, you probably just went bankrupt. And all your investors and all your people who you introduced your new crypto system to are probably gonna turn their backs on you, man, and walk away. And you're probably gonna be disgraced. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, crypto is huge. It's how we secure our devices, personal devices, businesses, commerce, military, governments, right? Look what just happened. Look what just happened in New Orleans. City was under siege by hackers, terrorists, right? I'm just saying, domestic, foreign, whomever it was, you know what I'm saying? When people take over cities, man, with with ransomware and shit like that, that's a fucking terrorist event, whether domestic or foreign. So two things. Back to my homie, my college roommate, my friend, my colleague. My friend from Japan, was saying that in the world of math, there's only one way. There's only one real way to beat the stock market. There's only one way in which to beat the stock market that exists, that we know of. Now, that may not be true, and it may be that there is some underlying mathematical algorithm that is obviously highly classified, because if someone knew about it, then they could just pick all the right stocks, right? Maybe there's someone out there who knows. Maybe there's someone out there who's done this, but I would imagine if someone could do that, they would instantly be on shadow government radar. I mean, you guys know how this shit works, man. Because think about it. If there was some algorithm that allowed for everyone to know somehow which stocks were going to hit, right? Come on, man. Bill Gates would have access to it. Jeff Bezos, like all the world's like top business persons, they would just buy that shit, and we would just know. We would know. Everyone would know, like, oh, there's a program that tells you what stocks are going to hit. It would collapse the stock market, because you wouldn't have any losers anymore. Everyone would be fucking winners who had the secret protocol, the secret algorithm, the secret code, right? Everyone would be fucking winners. And you already know, or should know, that at a casino, not everyone can be a winner. You know what I mean? Because then it would bankrupt the house, right? So the house always wins. So what's the exception to that? How mathematically might one beat the stock market in production of some type of algorithm that cracks the code, like the real world matrix behind the scenes? So what my friend said from college is that mathematically the only way to beat the house every time is to be the house. It's the only way to do it. Literally, the only way to be able to beat the house every time is to own every stock. You have to own the stock market, which is virtually impossible, right? You can't own every fucking stock in existence. Can Bill Gates buy every single company in existence? I'm talking about you have to own the whole market. Like, you have to own everything in order to beat it every time, to beat the machine, the game every time. And since no one can do that, there's no way that you can be the house, and there's no way that you can beat the stock market every time. That's the only known way. Now, there may be some fucking backdoor, some key. I'm sure there is. I mean, I believe that the stock market is micro-controlled by, the shadow government. But I won't go too deeply into that. But if someone were to, have that key, they'd instantly be on MIB radar. And I think we all know what I'm talking about when I say MIBs. Yeah, you don't want to fuck with those dudes. And I'm talking about the real world MIBs. You don't want to fuck with those dudes. So, yeah, mathematics, cryptology. Shit is a trip, man. I love to use colloquial juxtaposed with standard English. I love to go back and forth, man, interchangeably. But, so the stock market, mentors, Robert Kiyosaki. I'm just saying, man, there was no one, just like he says, just like Robert Kiyosaki says, the school system isn't here to teach you how to get a fucking job. And I'm essentially quoting Robert Kiyosaki because that's what he talks about, man. He says that, I'm not quoting him verbatim, out of respect in the scholarly context of it all. But that's what he talks about, is that the school system it may in some sense prepare you to get a job, obviously, because you're training, right? We're not talking about trade schools. We're talking about formal education, like high schools, like public schools, right? They don't really prep you to get a job. Like, there isn't like a job counselor most of the time that says, young man, young woman. So here's what we're here to discuss today. We're going to talk about you getting a job and your job choices and how you might, present yourself and resume and meeting with hiring managers and scouting and human resources and job applications and yada, 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 right? Blase, blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't do that shit. College doesn't really do that either. So the whole purpose of, and again, this is Robert Kiyosaki, I didn't know this in high school. I didn't fucking know how the world worked. Or did I? But yeah, assuming that I didn't, I'm just saying, man, like, especially in the time, during the time that I was in high school, there wasn't anyone, man, showing us like how to do it. Like holding our hand. You know what I mean? Because the school system doesn't do that shit. You got to figure it out on your own. And so, I was like, man, why would I go to college? Like, I don't even know how I could afford to go to college. I don't know that I'm going to get a college scholarship. I mean, I ended up later with the college scholarship. But point is that back then, like, I wasn't like saying to myself, yeah, I'm going to go to college right away and I'm going to like totally get into the groove and like I'm going to be all about like college and higher education. I was interested in making money. I was like, yo, I got to figure out how to make money. When I go to school, I need to have money, man, to go to school. I don't want to go to school broke. I don't want to go to school fucking bumming, man. I don't want to go to school like scrounging and shit. Fuck all that noise, man. I want to go to school and have a pleasant experience, man. I want to be able to study and have money to like not have to worry about like shit, like distractions, man. I don't want to have to like hustle and like sell dope and fucking run guns and like be involved in rackets like racketeer and shit, man. I don't want to be racketeering, man. Fuck Rico. You know what I mean? Like fuck some Rico shit. So I had to figure out a way, man, to get paid, to make money so that I could go to school, be comfortable and be able to do what the fuck I needed to do. Which is enter into the field of national to international security. How to figure out a way to bankroll it. So I didn't know, man, in high school, like what to do. I was like, I saw people doing real estate. I have a buddy, he did well, fresh out of, that's the thing. He graduated from high school, he got his it was some years into his 20s, but he got into real estate. And, but there wasn't, like back then, again, there was no internet. So it's not like it is today where you can invest in real estate, like real estate, like stocks, like online, If I had known when I was in high school that I could put pennies on real estate, like over the internet, fuck, I would have been doing that like 35 years ago. You know what I mean? 30 something years ago. But I didn't have the internet. We did not have a high-speed internet. So there was no such fucking thing. And I didn't know how brokerages worked. I knew that there were men and women who invested in the stock market, but I thought you had to have like crazy money to like buy into it. And I didn't know how to like approach brokerages. And again, there was no high speed fucking internet. So it's not like you could just go down to like 7-Eleven and buy a little debit card and put some money on it and then fucking put that money on that little debit card on some internet like stocks and shit. There were no marijuana stocks. Didn't exist. High-speed internet didn't exist. It was a dark time, man, in America. The economy was fucked up. There was no internet. I can't overemphasize that. There was no fucking internet. No internet. Are we clear? There was not an internet. The internet did not fucking exist. So how do you make money? So that's the world that I come from, man. I come from a world before now. I come from a world before now.